Hey guys, it's Girl Got Game. Welcome back to Hachiro Iba's route. We're here to do his game over ending number 1 or bad ending number 1. As you can see, both options are blued out right now in chapter 1. I thought I was recording and then looked over and noticed I was not. I didn't get very far. This is actually just an extra to the first game over ending. Because Iba only has 3 bad ends. Chapter 1 doesn't have a bad ending, but I thought I would just show you. He has... What am I trying to say? He has an alternate bloodless CD. Oh boy, I'm all thrown off now. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, refocusing. He has an alternate bloodless CG where he's enduring it, so I thought I would show you that part at least. And then we would go to the actual bad ending for this bad end. There we go. So anyway, what did I pick? I'm pretty sure it was IC. Yeah, because I told him that Toshi would figure something out, because Toshi always got it figured out. So we'll pick IC. Ah, I see. I had no idea. I had rarely caught sight of Hijikata around the compounds of late, as he was usually scurrying out of the door before I could say hello or goodbye. From what Iba tells me, my assumptions that he had been busy in meetings were somewhat unfounded.
Well, I suppose Toshi is used to adversity by this point. I would betray myself if I were to let my own feelings cloud my judgment on the matter. At the moment, the Shinsengumi cannot afford to let an unceremonious lack of sympathy hinder them.
Alright, so that was the end of that. And then he pins us to the wall floor. And then we get to the endure scene. And I had read a little bit of this, and I'd seen the CG. And then I realized I'm not actually recording. So let's do this again. A wave of anxiety kept me suspended in motion. If Iba was unwilling to consume my blood, and there was no guarantee that the medicine would work...
Oh, I'm fine. Stop worrying.
Through gritted teeth, Iba desperately feigned a smile, attempting to wave me away despite being drenched in sweat and losing all color in his face.
Gyo!
Iba! I began to fear that my inaction would only hurt him more, so I kneeled down and took him into my arms. It'll be okay, Iba! Man, the way he's just digging into her, I'm just like, whoa! Look at that dino claw. I felt so helpless, and Iba dug his nails into the back of my shoulder in an attempt to power through. My lungs were ready to burst as Iba constricted me in his embrace, and he wheezed in pained gasps.
Forgive me. I am ashamed that you must see me like this.
The facade of Iba's calm demeanor faded altogether, and his restless jitters made him vulnerable and afraid. Please, stop worrying about me right now. I continued to hug Iba tightly, keeping close until his violent seizure had long since subsided. That was a pretty good CG. But was that really less painful than just taking some blood from her neck? Iba, you gotta ask yourself. I figure we might as well just go through here. Do the other alternate option for ending one, for chapter 1. And just confirm that there is no bad ending here. And then we have to go into chapter 2 anyway, so... We'll let Moriyama do his thing. I don't even remember what the other option in this route was. This route. Wow, I am not thinking straight. Apparently I should have had some coffee before recording. It's not even that late. You show that air, Iba. Okay. So we're just gonna straight out be like, let's go after the Shinsengumi. I was unsure if Iba could take my suggestion at face value, but I had to take the chance. Why don't we go after the Shinsengumi? Oh. His glowing eyes quivered for a second, thinning out of curiosity. However, he quickly averted his line of sight.
There is no way that I could agree to that. Have you already forgotten the vow that Sen made me promise?
He spoke bluntly, eliciting an eye roll from me. Dang. Go Chizuru. As usual, Iba was being stubborn, but I was in no real position to force him to break his vow. Figure it out later. You think this will stop me? She rolls her eyes. Oh my gosh, this guy and his honor. Blah. So stubborn. She'll figure it out. This is really interesting if it just is like... Yeah, you can't mess up in chapter 1. It's not till chapter 2 that you gotta watch out. Yeah, alright. How interesting. Iba's like the first of the guys not to have a bad ending for each chapter. He's safe for chapter 1. But chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4 do have bad endings. So we're gonna finally get to game over number 1. So you can skip chapter 1 altogether and just do these options if you want to get this ending. But if you want the alternate bloodless CG, then you have to go through chapter 1 and make him endure it. Okay, so now we're gonna go inside instead of chitty-chatting with him. Right. I suppose I'll head inside then. Be sure to keep warm, Iba.
Will do. Good night.
I wanted to bask for a moment longer in Iba's company, but maybe it was better for him to contemplate without me serving as an unnecessary distraction. I bowed my head, preparing to turn in for the night. Alright. I figured that she wasn't going to get very far, because I'm like, the Bloodless episode starts immediately after this. Alright, make him endure it again. Iba! My initial reaction was to grab my Kodachi, so I put my hands around its hilt when...
Don't!
Iba shrieked madly as his wide eyes began to bulge. But at this rate...
Don't you realize that I drank that accursed serum for you?
His forehead was sodden with sweat, sitting above his scrunched face as he dug his fingers into his ribcage. Aww. I could no longer bear to watch him in this state. I wrapped my arms around him, feeling him squeeze my body tightly as he fought the urge to cry out in desperation.
Oh! Oh! No!
It was hopeless, a lamentable state for which I could offer no reprieve save for my company. I felt pity each time a strained grunt came from his closed lips. Hang in there, Iba! I flinched as his fingers clawed against my back. But I had to remind myself that anything he inflicted upon me was minuscule compared to the suffering he was forced to endure. If only I could absorb all of his pain for him. I held him closely, feeling his rapid heartbeat pound in his chest as he writhed in pain. Oy. Heavy sigh. Alright, one more choice, and it's the most interesting, because if you remember, this is where we found out about Takada and the lust that is transferred from this hand to his hand. And we had the option to trust Takada or distrust him. And of course we were sensible last time, but now I'm curious what happens when we trust Takada. I mean, nothing good's gonna happen. But I'm so curious where it's going to lead. Alright, Iba's still being awesome, cutting up bullets and things. One thing I was wondering is why Takada didn't have an army of Furies with him in Chapter 4. Like, did Hajime just kill them all when he killed Dad? And Takada was the only one that escaped? You would think he would have made his own batch of Furies, but... maybe he was overconfident and thought he could take Iba alone? I don't know. It was weird that the Furies just, like, disappeared. I could see Takada being cocky enough to think he could handle Eva by himself, though, for sure. Alright, well, here we go. This will be bad ending number 1. Would you really spare Eva's life? A calm, sympathetic gaze appeared on Takada's face as he coolly responded.
If, and only if, you submit your flesh to me and heed my every command.
My knees wobbled and sweat dripped down my neck. Was this what was to become of me? Could I give my body to someone I didn't love?
You can't. Chizuru.
As Eva's voice called out from behind me, my heart wavered, casting me into a sea of doubt. Giving in to Takada's demands was a forfeiture of my heart, my body, and my future, but all of them paled in comparison to the forfeiture of Eva's life. You promise that you'll spare him?
Of course I'll spare him. He's free to go. This, however, he could stand to lose. Men of his temperament don't deserve a priceless hand like this. I'll take that.
Oh. The blade of Takada's sword twinkled like a radiant moon above Eva's cradled body. Girl, you better step in there. No! I elbowed the Fury in the chest, taking advantage of his lowered guard by knocking the wind out of him. As soon as I broke free, I sprinted towards Takada, reaching for the Kodachi sitting on the side of my hip. But I was too slow. Ah! Takada then swung his blade to point its tip right in front of my face, stopping me dead in my tracks.
Apparently, looks like you don't quite understand our arrangement. I am an unstoppable demon, and you are my concubine. Looks like someone could use a little punishment, and luckily for you, I've got something in mind.
Takada lunged for my arm, twisting it roughly as he pulled me in closer to him. Ow!
Wait! Let go of her!
Eva drove his sword into the ground, using it to pull himself up from the floor, but...
Furies, dinner time! Drink up, drink up, drink up!
All of the Furies pointed their eyes greedily at Eva, encircling him to pounce upon his body. Moriyama, where are you when I need you? Oh no! They're going to... Okay, Takada! I give in! It's yours, everything! Just... please don't do it! Please! Don't kill Eva! I felt deranged as I screamed at Takada through hot, streaming tears.
What gives you the impression that I give a damn about what you think? I mean, don't get me wrong. I like having you around. I just don't need to hear your voice. Catch my drift? I've no real reason to treat you like a wife because, frankly, there's only one thing I require of you.
If Takada really were to kidnap me, there's no telling what horrific tortures would await me. At least Cosmo wants to make you his wife. It's decent enough to do that. I felt paralyzed, letting all manner of miserable thoughts grip me with fear. Just when I'd given up all hope.
Oh!
Eva let out an ear-splitting scream, a shrill, desperate cry of agony that shook me to my core. I shut my eyes in terror, hearing what came next.
Blood. Blood. Blood!
Try as I might, I couldn't hold on to Eva's fading voice as it became smothered by the cacophonous chewing of the Fury's vicious maws. Ugh. Oh boy. Soon his voice faded away entirely. I'd lost him. No! This couldn't be happening. Ever since we were children, Eva sought to protect me. In our adulthood, he had sacrificed his humanity to save me in the middle of harrowing circumstances. But it was for nothing, for his body could not withstand the mutilating carnage of a Fury horde. Iba had been eaten alive, stripped to the bone. Girl, how did you not pass out from watching that? That's horrible. As the realization sank in, I felt all of the power leave my body and depression held me by the neck.
Ah, so you finally understand. And now it is time for us to go. With your genes, our offspring will supersede the limitations of both man and demon.
I could hear the faint echo of Takada's voice, but my vision was beginning to blur. It was almost as if my willpower left me entirely, and my body was content to topple over. In one final act, I unsheathed my Kodachi and I drove it into my own heart, letting its cold steel take me. Man, girl was decisive. At first, the pain was searing hot, but soon my skin felt icy to touch and everything was going black. I just wanted all of this to be over. I wanted to see Iba's face one last time as the two of us drifted into the underworld. Damn. Good job, girl. I'm proud of you for not letting your fate be whatever Takada had in store for you, because that was not good. Well, curiosity satisfied. That was a horrible ending. But I'm pleased that they actually, like, it didn't cheap out on it at all, so good, I guess. Oh, man. That was horrible, though. Yikes. Okay. So that was bad ending number 1. Let's move on to bad ending number 2, shall we?